Welcome to this cinematic explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a truly harrowing piece of history, a text by Baha'u'llah from the Baha'i sacred writings. We're going to really unpack this idea of profound human endurance and, honestly, just the unbreakable nature of the spirit. We're looking at the raw language, the vivid imagery, and this massive narrative arc packed into one incredible excerpt. It's basically the story of a complete physical collapse that is somehow matched by a totally awe-inspiring spiritual rise. Right off the bat, let's look at this quote because it drops us right into the visceral reality of his imprisonment. Listen to this. "The throat thou didst accustom to the touch of silk, thou hast in the end clasped with strong chains." I mean, wow. In just one sentence, he sets up this whole cinematic backstory of wealth and comfort and then completely shatters it with the freezing, heavy reality of iron. We aren't just reading history here, we're literally feeling the texture of this drastic life reversal.
Section 1. The Unchainable Spirit.
Now, to really wrap our heads around this journey from physical descent to spiritual ascent, we have to look at his mindset. He opens by directly addressing the divine, recognizing a creator with hands that, as he puts it, none can chain up. And notice the incredible humility here. He refers to himself as an atom of dust. But this mere atom of dust was destined for trials so brutal that no tongue can describe nor any of thy tablets adequately recount. He's basically warning us right up front that the suffering we're about to dive into almost defies human language.
Section 2. From Silk to Chains.
So think about the sheer contrast between the life of luxury he knew before and the absolute degradation of his confinement. On one hand, you have a body eased with brocades and velvets and the touch of silk, right? Those are textiles of the elite. Immense privilege. And then on the other hand, the immediate, crushing reality, being clasped with strong chains and subjected to the abasement of a dungeon. It's literally a vertical drop from the absolute peak of society straight down into the darkest pit of captivity. It's a total stripping away of worldly identity. And the physical toll, it just rapidly escalates into this staggering stack of horrors. He's shackled with unnumbered fetters, chains so heavy and so numerous that getting any rest at night was just impossible. The days were completely stripped of peace by his tormentors. But this next point is absolutely devastating. He was forbidden the basic bread and water that are, as he points out, mercifully allowed even to the beasts of the field. This wasn't just imprisonment. It was a systematic attempt to reduce a human being to a state lower than an animal, compounding these massive chains with extreme starvation and sleep deprivation.
Section 3. Showers of Mercy.
Now, this is where things take a totally paradigm-shifting turn, and it perfectly illustrates our core focus today. Just as the narrative hits rock bottom, starving in chains in a pitch-black dungeon, the text makes this deeply surprising psychological pivot. Check out this quote. "A number of years have passed, during which afflictions have, like showers of mercy, rained upon me." I mean, think about that for a second. He doesn't see this years-long torture as a punishment or even a tragedy. Shockingly, he looks at these crushing afflictions as showers of mercy. And that brings us to this crucial concept of spiritual patience. What does that actually mean? Well, it's the capacity to endure unimaginable physical and emotional trials by reframing them as divine grace or a necessary transcendent journey. This definitely isn't just toughing it out. It is a complete cognitive and spiritual evolution above his physical reality. His body is literally locked in a dungeon, but his mind and spirit are receiving showers of mercy. It's the ultimate mechanism of resilience when faced with the unendurable.
Section 4. The Bitter Exile.
You'd think the dungeon was the climax of this ordeal, right? Actually, scratch that. The ultimate test doesn't happen in the dark. It happens out in a blinding, freezing wilderness. An irrevocable decree comes down, banishing him entirely from his homeland of Persia. And look at who is forced to travel with him. Not hardened explorers, but frail-bodied men and children of tender age. They are driven out into a landscape of literal freezing paralysis, where ice and snow are so abundant that moving forward is physically impossible. The imagery here is just haunting. At this time, when the cold is so intense that one cannot even speak, and ice and snow so abundant that it is impossible to move. Picture the devastating silence of that snowy exile. After surviving the deafening noise and the crushing weight of those dungeon chains, he's thrust into a vast frozen wasteland where the cold literally steals the breath needed for spoken words. It's the absolute peak of his physical trials. Surviving an environment that freezes both movement and speech, That requires an unfathomable, fiercely burning inner warmth.
Section 5. Lessons in Resilience.
So, bringing this all together, we really need to connect this extreme historical event to our own universal capacity for endurance. When you put these two trajectories side by side, the big picture is amazing. You have the physical descent, losing the silk, gaining the chains, the starvation, and that paralyzing, freezing exile. But then, running parallel to it, you have the spiritual ascent, the unwavering acceptance of trials, the mind-bending ability to view torture as showers of mercy, and this totally unbroken will. The true, unchainable power of human resilience is just beautifully revealed in that contrast.
I'm going to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Because this text, it isn't just a history lesson about a prisoner in Persia. It's practically a blueprint for the extreme limits of human endurance. When we inevitably face the bitter winters of our own lives, how do we reframe our heaviest chains into showers of mercy? Think about where you draw your own spiritual patience from when you have to endure the unendurable. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive gave you a fresh perspective on exactly what the human spirit is capable of.